Tonight on Panorama, shocking new evidence about a national scandal.
I've never heard of anything like it at all. It's a quite extraordinary story.
We reveal how the post office ruined hundreds of lives.
They've been lying, not just to the postmaster, to everybody. They've been lying from the day one.
The post office knew its computer system could make money go missing, but they accused staff of stealing anyway.
It's chilling. I mean, my blood ran cold.
And postmasters were jailed because bosses kept the truth from coming out.
You can't create this kind of injustice.
For 10 years, I've been investigating a scandal at one of our most loved institutions. It may turn out to be one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in British history. The Post Office prosecuted hundreds of postmasters over missing money. Postmasters like Janet Skinner.
Here, this little blue bit. Yeah, it's a police station.
Still a police station?
Yep. The revenue rights, and then they just repeatedly ask you the same questions. Did you steal the money? Have you taken the money? Have you borrowed the money? Have you lent the money to somebody?
The evidence against the postmasters came from the post office's computer system, Horizon. In 2006, it showed £21,000 missing from Janet's till. She panicked and hid the shortfall in her accounts while she tried to work out what had happened.
I knew that I hadn't done anything wrong, and I just thought, it's a problem, it'll come back.
So what happened next week?
It just doubled, and then it just got beyond the point where it was like I'd just buried my head in the sand, and I didn't know what to do, to be honest.
When auditors arrived at Janet's branch, Horizon showed £59,000 was missing. The post office charged her with theft and false accounting. Then they offered her lawyer a deal.
He said, if you will accept the guilty plea for false accounting, they'll drop the theft charge. And then I said, well, what does that mean? So he said, well, it means you probably won't be looking at a custodial sentence. So I said, well, I'll do that then, do you know, because I didn't want to go to jail.
But Janet did go to jail. She got a 9-month sentence. On her first night inside, she was allowed to call home.
I remember when the kids, that was hard.
What were they saying to you?
Just that they loved me. And I was just telling them that I love them and that I'm going to miss them. She said, I'll come and see you. I said, no, you won't. She said, no, you're coming to see me. I said, I don't want my kids growing up with that memory of me.
Postmasters were told they had total control of their Horizon accounts. So when money went missing, the post office said it was their fault. But what if the computer made mistakes?
There's a very early one of me in 2000, even a lot younger in those days. So I think that was the first time we ever had anything in print, which was December 2003.
2003, wow.
Yeah.
Former postmaster Alan Bates has spent 20 years trying to prove Horizon made money vanish from his post office.
There's a lovely quote from you here. I'm going to fight this for as long as it takes because of the grave injustice I feel has been done to myself and the people of Craggy in the way my contract was terminated.
Very true.
Fight this for as long as it takes, Alan.
Yeah, I unfortunately seem to be, well, I'm living up to my word.
Well, yeah, two decades on.
Alan was sacked after refusing to pay back money Horizon said was missing. He was one of the first to argue that computer bugs were responsible. But the Post Office wouldn't listen.
I've always felt that they've been trying to keep it covered up, the whole thing covered up, about the condition of the system. How many people are sitting on the truth of what they knew at the time? It has to come out, Nick. There are so many people who have suffered over the years with all of this. And there are probably so many more out there that we haven't heard from yet.
More postmasters joined Alan's campaign. I've met dozens of them over the years. Like Sue Knight, who was a respected member of her church and local community.
The King of Glory.
She lost her home.
Post Office have no idea what they've done. No idea.
Or Noel Thomas. He was accused of stealing £50,000.
I waited for a suspended sentence and he said, take him down. I spent my 60th birthday in prison.
Or Jo Hamilton, whose customers raised thousands to pay off the money she was accused of stealing.
We're not going to stop until they actually address what they've done and be held to account for what they've done.
"557 postmasters took the Post Office to court. Some had been jailed and some had been forced to pay back large sums of money the computer said was missing. Horizon was put on trial, and the postmasters were proved right. Bugs in the computer system could make it look like money had disappeared.
The judge has found that on numerous occasions over the years, bugs, errors and defects in the Horizon system caused discrepancies in postmasters' branch accounts.
The judge criticised the Post Office for insisting Horizon was robust when the evidence proved it wasn't.
This approach by the Post Office has amounted, in reality, to bare assertions and denials that ignore what has actually occurred. It amounts to the 21st century equivalent of maintaining that the Earth is flat.
The judge found that there was an excessive culture of secrecy within Post Office, and that definitely reflected our experience of dealing with them. It was very difficult to get things out. They held all the cards and they weren't exactly putting them down on the table face up.
The Post Office has agreed to pay £58 million in compensation and legal fees. But that may just be the start. The Court of Appeal will now review the convictions of 47 postmasters, including all the convicted postmasters featured in this programme. The Post Office is also assessing 900 prosecutions that may involve Horizon evidence.
This is potentially a huge miscarriage of justice, and I support fully the demands of people who are affected by it to get answers. And now, finally, I hope we're on the verge of getting justice and closure for the people affected by this miscarriage of justice.
The Post Office says the court found the risk of bugs affecting balances in older versions of Horizon was greater than Post Office believed. It does not mean every shortfall was caused by a bug, and each case would need to be determined on the full evidence. The Post Office should have done more to investigate the risk and provide more help to postmasters. That is something we deeply regret. The High Court case has given me the chance to finally get to the truth. I got access to dozens of internal documents. They show problems with Horizon coming up time and time again.
These documents show the Post Office knew there were serious problems with Horizon. So when they said the system was robust, that wasn't true. And people's lives have been destroyed because of that.
They show error after error logged by the IT firm running the system. Some bugs made it look as if money had gone missing. These messages show the post office, known as POL, was told. But they carried on prosecuting postmasters anyway. There were bugs that affected Horizon before Janet Skinner was accused of stealing.
We've uncovered further stuff that demonstrates the post office knew about bugs in Horizon well before they prosecuted you.
We should have been made aware of the system failings that was going on. And they just didn't. They didn't tell anybody.
Do you think the department that prosecuted you were aware that
Yes.
Horizon had bugs and faults?
Yes. Yeah, I do, yeah. And they just obviously just ignored it.
The lawyer who advised Janet to plead guilty is now a Labour MP. He says they should never have been put in that position by the post office.
That realisation that Janet Skinner perhaps shouldn't have been in the situation that she was in, how did you react personally?
Well, it's chilling. I mean, my blood ran cold. We now know she should never have been prosecuted in the first place. She went to prison. Her life was absolutely categorically ruined. There was problems that they knew about then. They were not disclosing any of that at the time. And we now know, we certainly suspect strongly, that there was corporate cover-up.
This is the woman who ran the post office for almost a decade. Paula Venables always insisted she wanted to get to the truth about Horizon.
We are a business that does genuinely care about the people that work for us, and if there had been any miscarriages of justice, it would have been really important to me in the post office that we actually surface those.
Politicians have tried to hold her to account.
I went along to the post office headquarters and met Paula Venables, the chief executive of the post office, and we said, we can't go on like this. This has got to be sorted out. There's a real problem here. The response we got was actually very encouraging. They said, we'll do this properly. We'll get to the bottom of it.
In 2012, the Post Office appointed independent investigators called Second Sight to look at the postmaster's complaints about Horizon. They were promised full cooperation.
I made it completely clear to the chairman and chief exec that this was not an investigation that I was remotely interested in carrying out unless they were committed to the search for the truth. That's the only way we operate.
Well, there was the famous phrase, seek the truth at all costs.
But the Post Office's independent investigators soon suspected there was a problem with the convictions.
Out of all of the cases that we looked at, I don't think we ever came across a single example where the proceeds of crime, so to speak, had ever been identified in any form of satisfactory way. I might have expected to hear about an expensive holiday or a flash car or something like that. We saw nothing to indicate that if money had been stolen, that it had been used to benefit the sub-postmaster or their immediate family.
Second Sight were initially given access to internal legal files, but then the Post Office stopped handing them over. The investigators told MPs.
We, unsurprisingly, asked for full access to those legal files.
Well, why don't you give those files over? What's the problem?
So I think the point I want to pick up first, if I may, is...
No, answer my question first. Why won't you give Ian Henderson those files?
We
Why?
have, as far as I'm aware, Mr Zahawi, we have shared whatever information was appropriate on every single
That's not what Ian
individual.
Henderson's saying.
Most of the legal files were never released. The investigators, paid by the Post Office, think there's been a cover-up.
If there was a decision taken to deliberately try and put obstacles in the way of your investigation. Why?
Well, I think that's pretty screamingly obvious. It's the consequences of a loss of confidence in the underlying core system Horizon. So it is existential for the Post Office to maintain the position that that Horizon is completely reliable, and the people and the processes surrounding Horizon are completely reliable.
The Post Office says it cooperated with Second Sight as appropriate. Second Sight were not experts in criminal law, and it was therefore not appropriate for them to have access to the privileged prosecution files. It says it's seen no evidence of a cover-up. Those legal files are critical to the first case I ever encountered in this scandal. It's the story of a postmaster called Seema Misra.
There is no evidence that I've taken any money, and then the jury came back with the verdict guilty. All I had in front of me, my husband, my children, and I was pregnant that time.
Seema was jailed for stealing £74,000 after she covered up the fact cash was missing. Key evidence came from the Horizon computer system. In the summing up, the judge said there's no direct evidence of theft. You have to infer it.
How can somebody listening to it properly come back with a verdict guilty? So it was shocking.
And then you had to go to prison.
Yeah, I asked one of the officers if I can borrow his jacket so they can cover my handcuff. I didn't want anybody to see like that.
Seema might not have been convicted of theft had her trial heard the truth about Horizon. We've found crucial evidence in her legal file that was never seen by the jury.
These documents are shocking. They show Post Office prosecutors refusing to hand over information which could have helped Seema prove her innocence.
This is just one example. An email from the Post Office security team to the criminal law team. It's about a bug in Horizon that makes money simply disappear. The security team are worried it may have repercussions in future prosecution cases. The attachment says that any branch encountering the problem will have corrupted accounts. In one case, more than £30,000 went missing. In another, almost £5,000. The document was printed out by the Post Office Legal Department just 3 days before Seema Misra's trial. But it was never disclosed to her defence. We showed our evidence to a leading expert on criminal law. What do you think of the behaviour of the Post Office throughout the Misra trial?
It seems to me, and it goes to the heart of this, that quite clearly the Post Office had material which they should have disclosed, which they did not. And in my view, resulted in the wrongful conviction of Mrs. Misra. There should be a thorough examination of all the evidence in respect of any person who might have committed misconduct in the course of these prosecutions by the Post Office.
The Post Office says it has always accepted its legal obligations and has taken advice throughout. It's conducting a further review about disclosure. It wasn't just computer bugs that the Post Office was keeping to itself. There was another way money could disappear from the Horizon system. In 2015, we discovered postmasters' accounts could be changed without them knowing.
We made a panorama which uncovered vital new evidence, but it was bitterly contested by the Post Office.
The Horizon computer system is run from this office in Bracknell by Fujitsu. A whistleblower told us that financial records were sometimes changed remotely by Fujitsu's staff. He knew because he was one of them.
We went in through the back door and made changes. Sometimes you'd be putting several lines of code in at a time. If we hadn't done that, then the counters would have stopped working.
It was an explosive revelation. If the accounts could be altered remotely, then missing money could be down to human error. Or worse still, theft by those with secret access to the system. The post office said we were wrong. Senior managers flatly denied remote access was possible without the postmaster knowing. One meeting was recorded. It wasn't for broadcast, so we've revoiced their words.
Can the system be accessed remotely and without anybody's knowledge in terms of it doesn't leave a footprint? Then no, it would leave a footprint.
So in sum, it is not now and never has been possible for anybody from Post Office or Fujitsu to interfere with transactions without the clear knowledge of the sub-postmaster.
It is 100% true to say we can't change, alter, modify existing transaction data. So the integrity is 100% preserved.
And that's true now and has been?
Yes.
For the duration of the system? Okay.
Despite these denials, our evidence of remote access was crucial to the postmaster's victory in their High Court case.
The BBC Panorama programme that you did in 2015 was very important in that. In fact, I'm not sure that this litigation would have happened as it did had Panorama not made that programme.
The judge decided our whistleblower was right. Remote access was possible without the postmaster knowing. Why was that so important?
Because it made a fundamental difference to the reliability of the accounts and a fundamental difference to the credibility of Post Office in what it had been saying to a number of people, including in response to your programme.
The Post Office told the court it had inadvertently misled Panorama.
The Post Office's barrister said it was a matter of enormous regret that the senior managers who dealt with Panorama were not aware that remote access to Horizon was possible. The Post Office claimed that that was just an honest mistake.
But our documents suggest that isn't true. This Ernst & Young report was sent to Post Office directors back in 2011. It says it has again identified weaknesses in the Horizon system. And it warned that Fujitsu's staff have unrestricted access to postmasters' accounts that may lead to the processing of unauthorized or erroneous transactions. So the Post Office knew all along that remote access was possible. We showed our evidence to the then chair of the Business Select Committee.
What does that say to you about their attitude towards the truth?
They were either mistaken or they were misleading the courts, but this document suggests that they couldn't be mistaken because the truth is here in black and white.
Just spell out to us how serious that is.
But I think this is very serious. It is very serious that the Post Office was sitting on information that told them, and could have told the courts and their sub-postmasters, that other people could access their systems.
Fujitsu was also sitting on information. The judge was so worried about the evidence Fujitsu witnesses had given in other Post Office cases, he referred the matter to the Director of Public Prosecutions. Fujitsu says it takes the judgment very seriously and is conducting a thorough process to review the court's statements. The Post Office has launched a scheme it says offers redress for those who may have experienced shortfalls. Its new leadership is promising fundamental change and greater transparency. So what about the woman who was in charge of the Post Office for so long? Paula Venables left the organisation last year and was given a CBE by the government and 2 new jobs. But the government has now turned against her.
There's no question that the Post Office management at the time behaved disgracefully. None of them are now in position. The officials were misled by the Post Office and the information provided was not correct.
Paula Venables declined to be interviewed, but said it was and remains a source of great regret that colleagues and their families were affected over so many years. She's truly sorry we were unable to find a solution or resolution, and for the distress this caused. But she hasn't answered any of our questions.
Hello, Ms. Venables. It's Nick Wallace from the Panorama programme. This conversation is being filmed. I'd like to ask you some questions about your tenure as Chief Executive of the Post Office.
Nick, I'm sorry. I've already given a statement to the programme. Thank you.
No, I would like to ask you why the Post Office knew about remote access to the Horizon system. This is one of the biggest frustrations about covering this story for so long, the consistent refusal of the Chief Executive and the people at the top to answer serious questions about what's been happening. I think the postmasters deserve better than that.
MPs have demanded answers from Paula Venables. And politicians on both sides of the House want a public inquiry.
People went to prison. People's livelihoods were lost. And some of the victims ended their lives. That is enough for a judge-led public inquiry.
I've never heard of anything like it at all, where a government-owned organisation attacked on the basis of false evidence the integrity of so many pillars of the community. It's a quite extraordinary story.
Has there been a cover-up?
I believe that there has been, and it's probably still going on.
The postmasters won't stop until they get to the truth.
They've been lying, not just to this postmaster, to everybody. They've been lying from the day one.
I want to see somebody be held accountable for what's happened, because you can't create this kind of injustice on people and then just walk away with it scot-free.
A much-loved national institution has become a national disgrace. And hundreds of lives have been shattered by the scandal at the Post Office.